Ready, set, pitch. Passion fuels collaboration in our paired teams. Each company uses their unique approach to business to solve problems for Flatline Pty Ltd. Meet 𝐏𝐻𝐿𝐻 of Flatline Pty Ltd. Contestants have to pry and dissect in the hopes that they develop questions that will solve for Flatline's business objectives in real time. Now that we have reached this part of the competition, these are remaining contestants. Previously on Pula Pitch.
Should you not get this money, or even if you're to get this money, how else are you intending to make sure that you're having your capital?
This is an organization which has been created especially to address issues and challenges
because it's not just having the students, it's all the operating costs that must be stomached within the 2030. Is that sustainable?
Greetings to you. I'm Tefo Moleta, the founding CEO of SAP Corporation.
So guys, you've worked very hard to get to this particular stage, and I know you've had sleepless nights. I hope I pronounce it correct. It's 𝐏𝐻𝐿𝐻.
I was actually quite satisfied with the pitch deck, but apparently I should have worked more on the design.
I'm much familiar with the market, so I know what they want, the shops and everything. And even in the streets, I was selling on like yesterday, on Friday. Yeah, I was selling some vegetables in by bus rank. I was screaming, "Morojo, morojo."
Ready, set, pitch.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Interacting with you today is the CFO of Flatline Pty Ltd, 𝐏𝐻𝐿𝐻.
Can you take me through your work process and your priorities at your 2 good years? That was 2020, 2021, right? And then your priorities now at the difficult years at the finance department, of course.
In the past 2 years, when Flatline was doing very good, our priorities was to have a competitive advantage. Okay? Our priority was to take out the product and brand to people so that they can know it, to customers, to clients, wherever, to hit and grow the company, to have more outlets and be in the industry, dominant in the industry. That was our focus. And due to the economical situations where we've had to find ourselves now at a point where we cannot break even, our income could not meet our costs. That is what I mean when I say we could not even break even. We started making losses. We had to redirect our focus. By the time we redirected our focus, we had now to say, Flatline is at a dying point. What should we do? Should we try to enhance our marketing? Should we try to enhance our research and development? However, we find ourselves in a financial unstable position. And then we engage these brilliant minds.
I have a follow-up last question on that. You said that during those years, you were focusing on getting the product to the people.
Yes.
And I've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, the financial documents that you spend about 60K on marketing. Yeah. So how much did you spend then compared to what you're spending now? And I know that you can't answer this one, it has to go to marketing. But what are you doing to market your product? Because I looked for you when I searched Flatline.
Nothing.
Anywhere on the internet, it's like it doesn't exist.
Well, we had not penetrated in the internet's
Side of things.
digital markets, right? You know, if you look into our country, our customers, our, let me say, biggest income drivers are our health facilities. And our health facilities are driven by the government. So when you know who's your highest income driver, you tend to fall back on that person. We fell and followed suit and say, let us try to make sure that we set it and get it right with the government before we go all out. And before we could even go all out, the tire punched.
Yeah. Okay, things are a little bit dark right now, but what's the light at the end of the tunnel? Is there something good that is happening, or just something more positive?
To wrap it up, the light at the end of the tunnel is the beautiful, brilliant brains that we have in front of us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the interaction. It was very nice interacting with you, and have a lovely journey.
Thank you so much. How well do our entrepreneurs understand their business in relation to the markets that they claim to be solving for? Can you refine the product, and do you understand your market?
My name is Papa Mashara. I'm a personal branding consultant and personal development coach as well. I've been in this field for about 6 years now. What I do is that I help people develop the best version of themselves. So I believe that all of us have a wonderful and awesome version of ourselves within, but it's buried deep down in the doubts, in the fear, and the anxiety, and all the other issues that we go through in life. So as a coach, my role is to help someone to unearth that version of themselves, whether it's for the workplace or it's for business or any field of work that you're in. You need to present the best version of yourself.
Thank you so much. My name is 𝐿𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵. I'm from Sabina, so people normally ask, where do you come from? But I'm coming from Sabina, and I'm an entrepreneur. But most people know me as an HR professional because I'm working as an HR manager, and I also write books. So they're quite familiar with the books I write on entrepreneurship, HR, and leadership. And then unofficially, just something that I do to the business, started the business growth, being an investor. And I normally call myself a silent investor, because I go to businesses and try to help them grow and expand in that facility. So basically, that's what I do. Besides that, I do motivational speaking. I try to help people.
That's my partner, Jose. My name is Lenny. We are here for 𝐏𝐢𝐭𝐜𝐡 flatline Mobashi.
My name is Emmanuel Alote. Okay. My middle name is similar to my surname except for the letter Y. My dad can answer that. I'm a senior manager in financial services, particularly banking. It's one of the top banks. That's what I do. I'm a resident of Gabs. I'm a city boy. That's me in a nutshell. I'm a family man as well.
If there's anything that I'm learning in certain business spaces, it's important to have people in your team that will help you carry your vision.
My name is Ernest Sebohudi, and I am here with
𝐿𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵.
and together we're going to present to you our business rescue strategy for Flatline Pty Ltd. Now we're going to speak to our presentation without necessarily going through everything in it. We're going to skim lightly over it so that we have a lot of time for interaction. If you have not already received the presentation, you'll receive it soon enough. So to begin, would introduce what is Flatline. So Flatline is a meditech company in Botswana. They sell wearable health devices such as watches, and they also sell image diagnosing machines, and lastly they have a healthcare management system.
Good afternoon. My name is 𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵, better known as Michael, and I'm here with my colleague Tifo, and we're here to discuss the company Flatline, its strategy, and see how best we can help them with their finances and their marketing. Tifo?
Greetings to you all. Just as how my partner said it, I'm the formulator from Sub Corporation. So I'll be touching base more on the finances. So the first loophole that we actually realized about Flatline is that they actually rely more on what? Debt capital. A company that usually relies more on debt capital has a risk of losing its assets in case it fails to do what? To pay its creditors. So right now we are in 2024. I mean, look at it. I mean, the opportunities are endless.
Sure.
There's actually crowdfunding. They can also sell their equities, these preferred stocks. I mean, opportunities are actually endless. And if they do that, they can do what? Enhance their capital structure. And then I'll move on the pricing strategy. We have realized that at Flatline, the pricing strategy is very...
It's really quite unique. I've done a couple of simulations on how to solve problems, and you find that most people spend time on the tools to transform the business, but they forget about the training on the person or the leader who's actually managing the business. Yes, you fix up the business, but as long as the same person is still there, they'll make the same decisions that got them back in that same place.
In a lot of loans. First of all, a company that is very important. A company has to be insured. Insurance cover if the loan the productivity a company, it's able to take over those loans. And again, how orderly the product it seems like the product.
My name is Pula Pitch, and I'm here with my partner 𝐏𝐻𝐿. Okay, so me and 𝐏𝐻𝐿 are just going to be presenting you the strategy that we came up with to make Flatline turn around and start making profit. So we're going to be doing this in 2 phases. My partner will be starting with
products, services, and the marketing strategy.
All right, and I'll be focusing on the finances, the HR, and sustainable development. So 𝐏𝐻𝐿 will start.
Hi everyone, as my partner just introduced me, my name is 𝐏𝐻𝐿, and I'll be focusing on the products, services, and the marketing strategy for Flatline Meditech. Now, when we were analyzing Flatline Meditech, we decided and what we noticed that they have a lot of intangible assets that they can leverage off of. So looking at their patents and software, we felt that they could increase visibility on those to make them more competitive and increase their income. We then also thought that they need to partner with manufacturers so that they're able to produce products that are specific to Botswana's market. Now, looking at the services and products that they offer, we felt that they could also leverage the hardware and software to create an ecosystem between them, the insurers, and the hospitals. For example, the system that we thought about would be a system where there would be an automated alert sent to emergency service providers that will then be able to react for the patients that are chronically ill. And then we decided that one thing that they also need to look at in their PR and marketing is creating a brand strategy. Currently, Flatline does not have a online presence. Their digital footprint is next to non-existent. So it's important for them to create content and maintain social media content so that they are more visible and more easily accessible to people looking for their services. We feel that they should also make partnerships or sponsor certain marketing or sponsorships so that they can also make exhibits to show their products in various expos.
In business, other departments may be prioritized over others, and the people aspect could be relegated to one of the lower levels, but we are trying to be in the main conversation in the organization in terms of the decisions that are made that affect the organization as a whole.
Flatline is currently in several clinics and institutions across Botswana, some of them government, some of them private, but they are facing a lot of difficulties. Flatline has very bad management. They are strangled by death. By deaths, I meant to say. And If flatline was a patient, in the medical industry would say they are flatlining. But it is not all gloom and doom for flatline. There is hope for flatline. Flatline's vision is to be a leading meditech company in Africa. Their vision is to revolutionize how healthcare is delivered to patients across the continent. I think that is something that they can work on, and that is something that is really good in this instance. So we're going to move on to what they are currently doing. As of last year, Flatline had a loss of 126,000 Pula.
In our resuscitation, we had to look at the challenges. Financial and operational improvements we are talking about, basically trying to cut losses where necessary, cutting unnecessary losses, returns, because they are bearing the costs of returns that are being returned to them by clients.
The company can actually make things easier by actually adopting the drop shipping strategy, more especially since that they do what? They import some of their products outside Botswana. They can actually tell their suppliers, like, you know what, instead of delivering the products to us, just deliver the products to what? To the consumers. What does that do? Reduces the cost, especially on the supply chains. I think that's all fine.
Its weaknesses are it has financial stability, a lot of debt, bad management, high staff turnover.
We noticed that they have a lot of intangible assets that they can leverage off of. So looking at their patents and software, we felt that they could increase visibility on those to make them more competitive and increase their income.
In the initial stages, when Flatline was communicating with manufacturers to get the medical equipment they are now reselling to their customer base, they failed to invest in contract management and negotiations. They failed to invest in warranty management too, which are the things that protect a reseller, especially in cases where they are supplying equipment to a customer base. To address this, or to put in place this turnaround strategies, we came up with an implementation plan, which we've divided into 4 quarters. To address all these issues. First, starting with debt reconstructing, we looked into debt consolidation. Secondly, we looked into updating their marketing strategies, updating the product versions that they have, and then we also looked into talent retention. How can they keep employees?
So I've given talks at different places in universities. I've done talks in universities, at corporate events, at social events as well, at churches, and I do a lot of podcasts as well, locally, across the continent, and even outside the continent as well. And I speak mainly on this topic of personal branding and basically how to develop yourself and how to believe in yourself. So I give quite a lot of talks and a lot of coaching as well around how to actually do it from how to start, how to plan, and how to basically keep it going as well.
The major thing right now is the debts that we have. So with debt management, we're looking into maybe renegotiating the loan repayment, like terms. We're also looking at maybe sort of negotiating with their creditors, and also seeking investment in the long term. So we're looking at maybe 20% equity at the most, because right now the owner is the sole shareholder of the company. And then when it comes to working capital, we've realized that they are holding on into a lot of stock. So maybe if they utilize the just-in-time inventory system, they can be able to sort of just keep the right amount of stock that they need, and also free up some cash.
I've exhausted all the time that we had. Thank you so much for your pitch.
Having a high cost is acceptable when you have high sales. Now, it becomes more pronounced when your sales drop, right? So before they go to the point of loss making, clearly they were selling. So they were selling, the business was coming in, and the costs they were able to manage the cost. What happens is when your sales are not coming in, then all of a sudden costs, become a glaring pain point. And that's what a lot of the companies didn't really address. A couple did mention sales or looking for business development, but I believe it's all sales. We're here. A business is there because they can sell the product. And if you're not able to sell, literally, you're sinking. You're gonna sink. So they needed to focus more on the sales as well as the leadership training on the managers themselves, some form of people development. What I didn't particularly appreciate was you're making losses, but you want to spend money. That's a non-starter because you don't have the resources.
Just straight to the point, how long will it take you to turn around the profitability of this business if all the things you put in place goes well?
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you so much. For a company like Flatline, there's a lot to do. Looking at what was there, I personally know and think that it will take us probably a year and a half. Okay. Yeah.
More especially since that, most of the time, company uses a 1 year time period, especially on the finances and stuff. So I think a year and a half will actually do.
All right. So if you expect it to take a year to a year and a half, how regularly will you be checking how it's performing in line with your plans?
I think the best part to do that will be actually monthly.
Yeah. We spoke about loyalty when we started.
Yeah.
Customer loyalty.
Yeah.
But your customers are bringing back the products. How are you going to retain that those customers and make sure that there's a long service contract with them to be able to utilize your services again?
Yeah.
I think that speaks to us again, going back to the manufacturer, fixing our contracts and making sure that they actually work in our best interest, right? That gives us an opportunity for us to maintain our customers. Say, okay, you had a faulty product at the beginning, but we are offering you this, which is going to actually work now. And when we say this is actually going to work now, that should actually work so that we are able to gain back your trust, right?
You know that there are repercussions to every decision that you're going to make. So you will be able to, you need to be able to take on what's coming, depending on the decision that you've made. There's a point that you made that you will be cutting even the sales team and you're not even generating income. You are heavily laden with debt. How does that happen?
No, it was an example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just want to answer this one. When it comes to the sales team, this also links to marketing. Fortunately or not, it's not, especially with the business dying in the stage that it's in right now, it's better to have less of a sales force so that you're able to pay less people.
It's important, but not at this time. So it's important that in business, you know what to do in each life cycle of the business. So I think with that said, as they've shared, you are quite prepared in terms of being articulate and being able to explain your points well. So with that said, we now come to our final decision.